Hi guys! Today we are going to go through what the labware and process module steps do and how they can be used when writing protocols on Firefly. There are four main labware and process module steps. Place on. This will use the gripper to place one item on top of another item. Take off. This will use the gripper to remove an item from on top of another item and return it to the deck. Shake. This is used to mix liquid in a plate on the shaker module. Heat/cool. This is used to control the thermal modules in order to regulate the temperature of plates or reservoirs in the Firefly. Now we know what each step does, let's look at how these steps can be used to make the most out of the process modules on Firefly. Let's start by looking at the reservoir thermal module and how it's used. The reservoir thermal module is located under the reservoir tray and can be used to cool all the reservoirs on Firefly. To do this, we will add a heat/cool step. This step regulates the temperature of the thermal module asset assigned to it. Now we need to add the reservoir thermal module to the step. This can be done by either adding a reservoir thermal module asset in the asset area and dragging it to the step, or simply click the drop-down menu in the heat/cool step properties and select the reservoir thermal module. This will add the asset to both the asset area and the step. As well as this, we will need to set the properties for the heat/cool step. First, let's set the temperature to 4 degrees to keep the reagents cool. Next, let's look at the different behaviors of the heat/cool step. There are 3 options. Start and wait. This means that the Firefly will pause the protocol until the temperature set point is reached. This is advised if the heat/cool step is shortly before when the reservoirs will be used. Start and continue. This means that the Firefly will continue the protocol whilst the thermal module gets to temperature. This is advised if there are sufficient steps between the heat/cool step and when the reservoirs will be used to allow the process module to reach the required temperature. Stop. This stops the active temperature control of the thermal module and allows it to return to the standard temperature. Next, let's look at using the plate thermal module. To use the plate thermal module, we again need to add a heat/cool step to the protocol. This time, let's assign the plate thermal module to the step. Let's leave the behavior as start and wait and the temperature as 5. Now let's look at how we can use the thermal module to cool a plate. To place a plate on the plate thermal module, we will need a thermal block. This comes as either 96 or 384 well. We then need to tell the Firefly to place this on the plate thermal module. It is best to do this before the heat/cool step. Let's use the insert step function to do this now. Now let's assign our thermal block as the top item and our plate thermal module as the base item. Next, we will need to place the plate onto the thermal block. We can do this using another place on step. In this case, let's assign the plate as the top item and the thermal block as the base item. You can see that the Firefly knows that the thermal block is currently on the plate thermal module and represents this in the graphic. Now the plate is on the thermal module, we can set our duration. This is done by adding a pause step of a set length of time. For this example, let's add a pause step and set it for 10 minutes. You can also add parallel steps here, for example to change tips or dispense liquid to another plate on deck. Finally, after the plate has been suitably cooled, a takeoff step returns the plate to the deck. Simply allocate the base item from which the item will be removed. You can see that Firefly works out which item will be taken off. Now let's look at using the shaker module. This is very similar to using the plate thermal module with a few minor differences. The first thing we need to do is add a place on step to put the plate on the shaker module. Let's allocate the plate as the top item and add the shaker module to our assets and allocate this as the base item. Next, we need to add a shake step. This has the same behaviors as the plate thermal module. Start and wait. Start and wait means that the Firefly will pause the protocol for the duration of the plate shaking. Start and continue. Start and continue means that the Firefly will continue with the protocol whilst the plate is shaking. This is advised if there are sufficient steps between the shake and when the plate is going to be taken off the shaker. Stop. This stops the shaker and can be used if no specific duration is required. Let's select Start and Wait. As well as this, we need to specify the RPM and duration of the shake. Note that because the duration is a property, we do not need to add a pause to specify the duration. Let's set this as 2000 RPM for 1 minute. Once the shaker has finished and is stationary, the plate can be taken off the shaker using a take off step. Alternatively, if you wish to place the plate directly onto another accessory, for example a magnetic block, we can use a place on step and specify the top item and the base item. This will go directly from the shaker to the magnetic block.